Good morning, mathematicians. We are looking at Lesson 15, Fraction Division Situations. I love this cool down. I love this lesson. It's such a good reminder, as we've been talking about, that it's not always the biggest number that's your dividend and your smaller number that's your divisor. No, we cannot follow that. That has expired here in 5th grade. Instead, we think about the parts of the division problem, right? So our first number represents the whole thing that is going to get broken up and divided, right? Our second number represents how many groups it's going to be divided into, or the portion size that it is being broken up into. So in this case, with this cool down, what we are doing is we're matching each of those expressions to the situation that describes it down below. We notice we're going to have exactly the same numbers. We're going to have a whole number 5, and we're going to have a fraction 1/4, but in one of our situations, it's going to be the dividend. So it's going to be the whole thing that's getting broken up. And then in the other situation, it's going to be the divisor, the group that it is being broken up into, the number of groups, or the portion size that it is becoming. Okay, so boys and girls, let's take a look here at A first, and let's decide which of the expressions can be used for this A situation. A says, Han cuts 5 feet of ribbon into pieces that are 1/4 foot long. How many pieces are there? So we have to ask ourselves, we have our 5 being our ribbon. We have our 1/4 being the piece size that it is going to be broken up into. So we must make sure that we attend to the dividend and the divisor in the order that is needed. Which is the thing that is going to be broken up and divided? It is the entire ribbon. So we must have our 5 as our dividend. Then we're going to have it in a certain size. We're going to be cutting it into pieces that are 1/4 of a foot long, so that must be our divisor. Now, let's go ahead and think about exactly what is happening in this situation. I'm going to model it. You don't have to do that, but certainly if you are someone who maybe is unsure of this question, this might help us to break it down. When in doubt, draw it out. Han has 5 feet of ribbon. So I have shown that in a tape diagram. Now, he's cutting it into pieces, and each piece is going to be 1/4 of a foot long, right? How many pieces are there in all? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show my tape diagram being in 5 feet. So now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 pieces in my ribbon. Now, this very first foot right here is going to be cut into 4 pieces, because here is 1/4 of a foot, a second fourth of a foot, a third and a fourth foot, because again, this particular 1 foot piece of ribbon is going to be cut into 1/4 foot long pieces. So how many pieces do I have in this? I have 4. That is a key thing for us to think about. This is going to be cut into 4 pieces. Well, how many pieces is the second foot going to be cut into? It's also going to be cut into 4. And the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, all of those are going to be cut into 4 pieces so that they are 1/4 of a foot long. Now, if we do that for all of the 5 feet, how many little strips of ribbon have we created? Well, we've created 20 pieces, right? So boys and girls, we are really just using our math mind to answer these questions, thinking about exactly what is being asked and using that to get to our answer for our questions. So I am going to go ahead and come below, and let's write out just a little caption that tells us exactly what was happening in that tape diagram and the expression that we built. So I have 5 divided by 1/4. And I know that that equaled what? It equaled 20. Okay, now I'm going to say that there are 20 pieces in the 5-foot long ribbon when it was divided into 1/4 foot long strips, or let's say pieces, just to keep it consistent. Okay, now with that, we have given our answer for how many pieces there are. There were 20. And we went ahead, and especially since my diagram worked for me to reason it out, but certainly it was not something that we had to do. I wanted to make sure that I made it very clear that I knew that the answer was 20 and what that answer meant in relation to the question of A. Now let's go on to B. Now B should be this other situation here. Just by the process of elimination, I should find that this matches it, but let's indeed read it and let's make sense of that with our math mind. We have Han cut a 1/4 foot long piece of ribbon. He cut it into 5 equal pieces. How long is each piece? So indeed, in this situation, I am seeing that in all, I have a 1/4 foot long piece of ribbon. And that ribbon is being broken into how many pieces? 5 equal pieces. So yes, this is correct. The situation that I am utilizing is this. The whole thing that's being broken up is the 1/4 foot long piece of ribbon. And it is being broken up and divided into 5 pieces. So I did find that to be true, that it did match that division expression. Now, once again, I'm going to go ahead and draw this out so that we can think about exactly what is going on in this situation. And this is a great strategy. If you're ever in doubt, just go ahead and draw a diagram. Think about what is happening, draw it out. Now, how much of this entire tape diagram are we starting with? If this represents 1 foot, we weren't actually starting with 1 whole foot, right? How much were we starting with? We were starting with 1/4 of a foot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight this, and I know that this represents the whole thing that was being broken up. I see that in blue, I have 1/4 of that whole ribbon, 1/4 of the foot. Now, this piece, this blue piece, is going to be further divided, right? It is going to be broken up into 5 pieces. Now, I could go ahead and just say that this is going to be broken up into 5 pieces. Certainly, that's kind of what we ended up doing above. But for the sake of showing it as well for this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw these 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 equal pieces in this 1/4 of a foot, right? So Han cut 1/4 foot long piece of ribbon into 5 pieces. But the question that we have to answer is how long is each piece? So if I'm considering this particular piece of what the entire ribbon was, how long is this particular piece right here in relation to the entire ribbon? Well, it's 1/5 of this 1/4 of a foot, sure. But this particular section would also, if it were similarly be divided, it would be divided into 5 pieces, right? This one would also be divided into 5 pieces, and this one would also be divided into 5 pieces. Now, if I thought about it that way, then this is 1 out of how many total pieces does the whole ribbon have? It has 5, 10, 15, 20. So this is 1 out of 20 for considering that entire length of ribbon, right? That's 1/20th of 1 foot. So that is where I find my answer. Let's go ahead and come down and let's make sure that we write out some reasoning for that as well, because certainly that's some sound math thinking that is leading us to that answer. So I'm going to write that I had 1/4 and I divided it by 5 and that equaled 1/20. Okay, now I'm going to write that each piece of the ribbon is 1/20 long. Now I know that to be true because I've thought about that this is one of 5 pieces of this blue area, but I've related it back to that certain unit that we were using, which was a foot, and so it is 1/20 of a foot long. For the sake of being precise, I am going to go ahead and write foot as well. That is a good thing for me to add. Each piece of the ribbon is 1/20 of a foot long. Okay, boys and girls, that finishes out this lesson 15 cool down.